You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today, first of all, folks, if there's anyone that exemplifies beauty, strength, and dominance, it is the awe-inspiring, the one, the only Miss Ariel X. How are you, Ariel?
Hello, thank you for the introduction, Michael. So good to be here.
You're very welcome. First of all, folks, it's always a pleasure not only just to interact with you and just to see what you're doing. I love the coaching side of this. I figured we start on this front because you've done so much within Evolve Fights, within your coaching. You, my friend, if I've seen your stuff on Instagram, I've seen your stuff on Twitter, with everything that you bring into the table, helping people to have the courage to win in everything that you do. Number one, I love it, but number two, we need more of that in today's society. Uplift and empower.
I agree. I think everyone's in competition with each other, and competition helps make us grow and become better. But if you're competing to bring other people down or because you're jealous, there's no place for that. There's enough of a pie for everyone to have a piece.
Agreed wholeheartedly. One of the things I always say, and I actually message you this, and I mentioned this to you in Messenger. One of the things I love, and something that I'm really, really behind, is being the best representation of your presentation. Represent yourself well, present yourself well. I think in today's day and age, with how everything affects us within social media and so many different climates of our lives, I think with life in itself, you have to look at it as an art form. You know what I'm saying? You're applying your craft and you're painting your canvas. I mean, I always use this as an analogy. Look at Bob Ross, the great painter that he was with the joy of painting, how he would paint like it would start off small, but by the end of those 30 minutes, you would have like a masterpiece of like mountains and skies and everything. So look at how Bob Ross and the lens that he paints those paintings, you're kind of painting your own painting. It starts from scratch, but once you get into that whole masterpiece, then I think you're golden and you strive for more.
Absolutely. And if you make a little mistake in your painting, you can always turn it into something else. It's always opportunity. It's never a failure. It's always just something. If you're creative enough, you could turn it into something awesome.
Absolutely. And I mean, I always look at it from a stance like this. From what you get to see from your standpoint, I mean, you're always doing your videos, you're always coming out and coaching people. For you, I got to ask you, what kind of gravitated you towards that side? Because I got to say, your quotes, your methods, it really does help a lot of people. And I think at the end of the day, us as human beings, we really exist to inspire.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for that. I have 20 years of experience in the adult industry, but the adult industry is like any other industry. We get a lot of flack. People think it's not a job. Anything that you have to market and promote yourself, it takes work. You have to have some sort of business acumen. But after 20 years in this industry, I kept seeing the same patterns in people in general, but especially for people who are fans of this industry and people who are involved in producing in the adult industry. These people who seem to, and I suffered from this as well. Um, and you can always see something when it's in yourself. You have to be, if you see something when you start noticing it in other people, it's most likely because it's in yourself, because it takes one to know one, right? So after all this time, I see the same pattern of self-sabotage, of people who had dreams and aspired to do so much more, but couldn't. But for one reason or another, because they lacked confidence. Sometimes they just didn't know where to start. A lot of the time, it comes from a self-worth that came from conditioning of society telling us what we should be, not aligning with who we really are. And in our industry, it's sad to say, but I see people kill themselves. Like, there's a lot of suicides in the adult industry. And after seeing it for so long and being sick and tired of it, fed up of it, I worked on myself. And in my 40s, in your 40s is when most people start going, you've established your life and now you want more. You want to contribute more. And it became clear to me that there's more to life than just making money, traveling, and having fun. There comes a a season in your life where you want to give back, truly give back, not just, give people a paycheck, but give them life skills, teach them how to fish so that they can eat fish every day rather than just handing them one fish every single day. So I went out and I've spent the last several years of my life taking training courses and talking to people, understanding deeply what drives them either away from things or towards things. And it's my life purpose right now to guide people into their best selves. And it's not a one size fits all approach. Each person has their own history and experience that they need to be dehypnotized from, because we're all walking around hypnotized in this reality that we live in based off of our conditioning. And I like to show people that programming that they've been conditioned. I use the word programmed because it's kind of like they've been programmed to be the way they are. And they keep running this old program over and over, not getting anywhere. They're like a hamster on a wheel, just running circles, exhausting themselves and not getting anywhere. And I put a finger in that hamster ball. I stop it. I have them see it. And I show them that there's other hamster balls they can walk on and run on and have a better time on. And I've had some really great breakthroughs with some people. And once you have one, you get addicted. You're like, I can help more. I can give more. I could do more.
I think it's one of those things, and first of all, I'm so glad that you brought up the fact that I think a lot of people don't even realize in the adult entertainment industry, because there's so many people in all facets of life that have such untapped potential, and you definitely see the suicide rates are up. And but number two, at the end of the day, what I've always respected about your work and everyone who's in this said industry, it's a brand, it's your entity, and it's a business. I mean, people can flack on it, they can poo-poo on anything, but at the end of the day, too, it's like someone who has like a high job over here, but somebody's crapping on somebody for being a janitor at a school. That was actually reflected in a Boy Meets World episode. But I'm like, if someone is at that school cleaning it up for the kids and making sure everything is neat and tidy for them, a janitor, like any other job, has its importance in society. And I mean, I look at it from a stance like you just mentioned there. You never know who you're going to relate to. And like I mentioned, the exist to inspire realm. Everybody has somebody that they can relate to. Anybody that's someone who can evoke emotions, who can elicit that reaction from someone. And I think that's the most precious, that's the most prestige thing ever. And I mean, I'll even say it with my own line of work here. Podcasting provides you a voice, it provides you an outlet for people, and you have so many different topics that you have up here that you translate through a microphone. So if you can translate that and use it for good, we're all using our powers for good in a sense. I think it just takes one step within that journey and the destination keeps going. And as an adult, you keep adapting and growing. So, I mean, there's so many parallels and levels and layers to everything that the endless knowledge and the endless learning never stops.
Correct. I love that. And you tapped into something I want everyone to understand as well. Everyone has their potential. Everyone has a superpower. Everyone has their experience that will resonate with somebody. I get sometimes when my message of mine gets out to like the mainstream audience and they find out I do porn, I get these naysayers like, why would anyone listen to a slut? Whoa. Like, well, people do. So, this is one of the most important things in life is you're going to have people who are just haters and your message won't reach them and you don't need to try to reach them, but your voice matters to at least one person. So it doesn't matter if somebody says, your podcast doesn't matter or your videos don't matter, your shorts are stupid, your reels are dumb, who should listen to you? Though my message isn't for them, your message doesn't have to be for everybody. Speak your truth, speak authentically. If your cause is to make the world a better place, that's all that matters. Don't let any of the haters get to you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's so true. And I mean, I've always looked at it like this, and to tap into something that you also mentioned there, it's one of those things too, where you see on social media just in general, everybody wants to do this when we should be doing this, the united, not divided front. I always look at it like this, like when I started doing like TikTok or whatever, one of my main goals, and I'm sure you can agree with this as well, is there's too much negativity, but also at the same time too, it's great to see all these challenges, these dance challenges and everything. But I think the most important thing too is if you can uplift somebody, or just a simple good morning, or a simple one-worded sentence, or a hello or something, a certain greeting can really uplift somebody to start their day, end their day. So you're really resonating. It's like, hey man, you're speaking through them, you're speaking through their soul. It's like when somebody's on TV and you see a character, that character is resonating with you. It's like they're speaking to you as you're viewing the lens and watching said program or whatever. So I think if you could speak to someone's heart, but also at the same time too, you see so many different ways of how you can add your positivity to what can be a dark or negative place. That is so key. And I mean, social media has unfortunately become something for youngins nowadays, where you see in Australia where they're just like, all right, you can't have social media under the age of 18. So I think social media, while it does have its pros, I think it needs more pros of positivity than the cons of the negativity and the constant bickering, because there's too much of that in the world.
I agree with you 100%. I would love to add to that too. I believe everything has a polarity. There's good to everything and there's bad to every single thing. You can look at the most atrocious things that have happened in the world and go that nothing bad, nothing good came of that, but there is something, one good thing that came of it. Whether it helps people build resilience, it helped people understand how they don't want to become. If one good thing came of it, that's my point. Something good came of it. And with social media, this is all by design. Like, look at, I mean, television. Look at the word tell-a-vision. That's somebody's propaganda telling you the vision that they want you to have. It's all designed. And this divide and conquer thing of let's get likes and engagement through putting absurd things online that are polarizing, that will get people angry and triggered. Listen, I have a tip for you. If you're getting triggered by anything you see online, that's a sign for you to look at yourself. What triggered you about that? A lot of these things that we're seeing online right now, we're seeing injustices in the world where you see like just horrible things. Like you want to just close your eyes and you get angry. That's a good kind of trigger, because that means you're a good person and you want to get involved, but figure out a way to get involved that's going to be beneficial. Going online and just putting your opinion isn't resourceful. I guess it's a nice way to vent, but have it be something that you can actually process that emotion and come up with a solution. And if somebody says something that you don't agree with, you don't have to agree with everyone, but have a civil conversation. Try to come from a place and understand why that person has their opinion, because we all have different upbringings and conditioning, different situations in our life where we're going to have a belief that is counter to somebody else's belief. So rather than telling that person, you're wrong, you're an idiot, try to understand what happened in your life to cause you to believe that. And if we can, I have a tool we use in neurolinguistic programming. It's called perceptual positions. And it's a really great way for us to foster empathy. So what you do is when you're having a disagreement online with somebody, or in person, or in life, right? Somebody says something that just, you're like, I don't see this guy's point. He sounds like an idiot. He's making me feel uncomfortable. All these things that you're just like, you feel this conflict. What you do is you look at the situation from your point of view, talk it through, like, this is my point. I feel this way. This person's reacting like an idiot. They're getting upset. Look at it from your point of view. The second perceptual position is to imagine you are the other person. So you step outside of yourself and you go imagine as if you are that person. Imagine what could have happened in their life to give them that opinion that they're spouting out to you, and retell the story as if you are them. So what that sounds like is, I walked into a podcast and I was talking to Ariel X, and this is me talking as if I'm you. I'm doing this role play as if I'm you. And she started just going on and on about the nature of reality, and I got upset. And so you're talking as if you are that person. So I was talking as if I was you. And now the third position is, if you want to use this term as if you're God, some third party observer who has no stakes in the game, loves both you equally, is just watching. And what does that scenario look like to that third party observer watching this without attachment to either? What does this situation look like just from that? And when you come out of it, you're going to realize, man, maybe I did overreact. I see that person's side, not completely, because a lot of the time you're doing a mind read on what possibly that person could have gone through to come up with those conclusions. So there's a little bit of a mind read, but it allows you to have empathy and to enter every argument not with certainty, not that I'm right and you're wrong, but with curiosity. And when you enter with curiosity, you're a lot more friendly. Your tone comes down a little bit more friendly, and it allows for more of a civil dialogue rather than I'm right, you're wrong. You're like a superiority complex that so many of us have. So many people online have a need to feel significant, a need to make other people feel small, a need for themselves to feel superior, whatever it is. It's all ego. It's all egocentric. And I'm not going to say kill your ego, because that ego is very important, but come into it with a little bit more curiosity. And if you have to, go on a full social media diet. Just turn it off. Just turn it off. While you're watching this online, turn off online.
But no, it's so true. I think, well, I always go I'm glad that you mentioned the spiritual route. I think for me is God teaches us all to love one another. So with me, I try to stay here. I don't like to do this, mostly this, because I like to see things like you mentioned from a calm standpoint. Instead of arguing and raising it and just going bah, 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 you have to sit down, you have to talk to people because you never know what their backstory is. You never know how they can relate to said view. So I try to be understanding, and I think that's not only important to your mental health or just important to other people, but I think in this society, everybody just wants to rah and like come through the screen. But it's just like, God dang it, man. If you sit down, if you have a civil conversation, if you really like explain it out and really just go from here, 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 take it all in and listen, I think that was where the communication starts because there's so many communication breakdowns. And instead of people, like I mentioned, doing this, they start drifting away from you. Where you have something that's so good in a relationship, you have something that's so positive or something meaningful, people start to drift away. So I think it's the shift in attitude, and it's also just your understanding of human beings that really is good for the mind, body, and soul. And that's what really brings people together in any crisis or any time of need or just in general.
100%. And it's good to remember that communication is fully dependent on how it's received. So it doesn't matter how you think you're coming across. If the other person isn't getting the message, you're doing something wrong. It's not that they're an idiot and they can't figure it out. No, you're making a mistake. There's something you're putting out there that isn't clicking or isn't landing or isn't being felt by that person. And so change your messaging. Maybe it's your tone. Here's another thing. You know that communication is only 7% of the actual words that you use. Like the word can be interpreted in so many different ways, but there's communications that are nonverbal. You know, your body language, your tone. I could be like, fuck you. Or I could be like, fuck you. Or I could be like, fuck you. You know, like same words, different tone, different meaning. So your words, and that's why online social media keyboard warriors, it's so hard to tell what someone's really trying to convey because we don't know their tone, their cadence, how they actually mean that. So when you're reading just words on a page, it becomes confusing. You're only getting 7% of what they're actually trying to communicate there. So bear that in mind and stop feeling so attacked by every single thing you see online and go, what might I be able to learn from this? Rather than how can I get offended by this? Because so many of us open up our phones. It's like we brave being angry. Like what can piss me off today? And you open your phone right when you wake up in the morning, like what did this asshole do today? Yep, I knew it. Like calm the fuck stuff. Don't want to be angry. So many of us love that. I've heard people say it makes them feel alive, and I'm like, that's not living, man.
That's
That's not
unhealthy as
living.
hell, man.
That is not healthy.
Oh, that's just unhealthy. Like you can't be a curmudgeon. You can't be like Oscar the Grouch, or you can't be like Archie Bunker, just sitting in the chair smoking the cigar.
So angry.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. I think with even kids nowadays, I think you can concur with me on this. Cyberbullying is one of the worst things ever that has ever existed in mankind. Like, I mean, we've all dealt with bullies in our schools or whatever, but these poor kids have it now, where cyberbullying is a thing. I mean, there was a movie I saw about, God dang it, it's probably like 11 years ago. It's based on like a horror drama, but it was called Unfriended, right? And the story was based on so everybody's on a Skype call, and the ghost of this girl who was wronged, and it pretty much humiliated her life. Like the girl was drunk at a party, passed out. Instead of cleaning this girl up, they videotaped it as like a ha ha, and everybody's telling this girl to go kill herself and whatnot. But that's the general consensus of the movie. It's just also putting good karma in there, but also number two, you don't want to hurt anybody because you never know what's going to happen, where karma is going to come back to bite you, and you yourself are going to be humiliated. So I think people need to take an account, like even think before you even act of just like, hey man, do I want to do this as like a ha ha and be funny, or do I actually want to take care of said person, be a good person, and care for that person? Because we've all been in these situations where sometimes we do things that are not the smartest or not the best. So I think the maturity level and I think the overall stance of just being a good person really goes into effect, and listen to your right side of your mind instead of just, to put it in the bluntest of terms, just fucking around and just finding out what the consequences are going to be after that.
100%. I love that movie, Unfriended. I remember watching that. I think I was watching it during COVID. If I remember, it was because it's all on like a Zoom screen type of thing. And I
It's like a
remember
Skype call,
thinking,
yep.
Scott, I'm like, how creative are these people to be able to create content during COVID? And and I love horror movies because they are such good metaphors for things in our lives. And you just explained, how important that particular movie is for not being a dick. And you made me think of the session wrestling world. On some of these girls get bullied by these guys, and probably some other girls. There are some people in the session wrestling world who are bitter. I'm talking about the wrestlers who are bitter and just mean, and they will say horrible things. They will try to sabotage another session girl's career because, and it seems like they do that because they feel that girl is, or that session wrestler is taking their clients. And I'm like thinking, the clients go to whoever they want, right? Like it's their decision. You don't have to say negative things about this session girl. If she's wronging people and she's ripping people off or injuring people maliciously, tell the world, but don't just say horrible things about this person. Like one particular instance that I can think of, there's a lot of the girls are very muscular. And there's guys out there who are claiming these girls are transgender or something. And they aren't. And it's just like, why would you even go about, I've, I'm not even that muscular. I've had people say that about me. And for me, I go, well, I'm flattered because transgender people are kind of gorgeous and they spend a lot of money to look good. So thank you. So, I mean, I just try to reframe things so that it doesn't like destroy my psychology. But I can see these haters online, and I think as a collective, I would love if the session world could come together and support each other. There is still some division. There are those just toxic people in our industry who will contribute to that. They kind of like get their kicks off of siding with these negative men. I'll be the mean girl with you. And to each your own. I know you're all making a living. I'm not going to hate on anyone for trying to survive and thrive out here. I would encourage us all just to contribute to a more kinder world for all of us, because we can all survive and thrive without being assholes.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And I will say this, there was an instance where I had a buddy and we were at the movies, and God, this is going on about probably 10 or 11 years ago now. And there was a commercial, the previews before the movies, right? So we're sitting there, got our popcorn, got our drink, and there's a commercial for plus size women in lingerie. I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting there waiting for the movie. And my dude here next to me, he just goes, and mind you, there's hardly anybody in the movie theater yet because we're all waiting. People are starting to come in, but there's hardly anybody in the movie theater. He just goes, fat. And I'm like, what do you accomplish by yelling at a friggin' movie screen?
He feels significant. He thinks he's gonna get a laugh and a chuckle, and
Like,
that
bro,
was his ego being like, I need attention.
yep,
It's like,
yep.
okay,
Mind you, I don't talk to this person anymore.
yeah, yeah.
It
I
was,
mean, listen, I've said stupid things. I've done stupid things. We're all young, we're all dumb. If you look at it like this, he needed to feel significant. He needed something to, he wanted people to be like, that guy's funny. He said the obvious. Yeah, there's fat people exist. You're pointing out the obvious.
yep.
Thanks, Captain Obvious. You got it. It's like,
You know,
okay,
you know,
red. Why
yep.
didn't you scream out pink?
Pink,
Like she was wearing a pink bra. Pink.
pink.
She's fucking cavemanning it.
Yep.
Fat.
Yep.
Pink. It's like, great. You know one word, caveman. Good job.
Reminds me of, and I even hate to even look at it like this, but for those who've ever seen The Social Network with Jesse Bradford and everything that goes, not Jesse Bradford, Jesse Eisenberg, excuse me, like his portrayal of Mark Zuckerberg was so poignant. And it's like you look at the beginning of the movie where he's so drunk because the girl rejects him and wants to break up with him. And then he starts like the rating thing and they're like basing them off like farm animals and everything. And I'm like, bro, I know he's drunk, but what significance do you have by rating these girls? Because I hate that system too, because I've always looked at it like this, and I got to thank my mother for this. I love my mother dearly, but I was raised by three great women: my mother, my aunt, and my grandmother. So I had
Oh,
that women's surroundings, and my father is amazing too. Like I said, I've been very blessed, but I look at it from a stance like this. All people are beautiful. Like you mentioned the trans side of things. Like there's a lot of trans people out there that they do their thing up, they do the makeup, they look fabulous. You know what I'm saying? And I think people in this world are so either homophobic, transphobic, and it's like, what's the phobia? I could even say throughout my lifetime, Ariel, and I love the people that I'm surrounded with, or just in general. Like, I got hit on a dude by twice. What's the thing to be homophobic and say the word that rhymes with maggot, aka faggot? I'm like, what in your energy? You could just say, like, you're flattered because the person's not hurting you, they're giving you a compliment. If
yeah.
someone gives you a compliment, thank you, take it in, be nice, be courteous to one another. So at the end of the day, too, like you mentioned, being surrounded by a lot of good people instead of assholes, we all could do that instead of just having a phobia of things that you either don't like, don't understand. Just try to just try to be thoughtful because if that person's giving you a compliment, raise them up, don't put them down.
I agree with you 100%. And I don't want to simplify this because there's a lot, it's complex, right?
Yeah.
There's this thing called religion that has huge dogma. And some people think that because this book they call dogma could be interpreted to say trans people or gay people deserve to be killed, which I don't think it literally says that. I'm not going to argue with this, but this is their belief. And there's nothing, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. That's just how they believe it. And there's nothing in the world you can do to change it. And it's not just homophobia, because there's some homophobia that comes from, I'm scared that I'm getting a boner from something that I think is bad, and I need to hate that thing because I don't want to understand it. It's different than what I like. It gave me a boner, and does that mean I'm gay? Like they start questioning their own stuff. There's so many people who claim to be homophobic and they do gay things, but they won't ever admit it's gay things. But so it's I don't want to oversimplify it because there's so much going on to it. And I agree with you that the world would be a much better place if we saw something that was a little different, and instead of trying to destroy it, trying to understand it.
It's like people that, oh man, they got so upset because I think there was someone who's the drag shows or whatever on Sesame Street and everybody like flipped out of it. I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter if that person's gay. What they're trying to tell you within the message.
Yeah. What's the message? Yeah. You missed the whole
Missing the
picture,
point
right?
of like you're missing the point of like they're there to tell you to love one another.
Yeah.
Like it's
Is that a
Sesame
bad
Street.
message?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's Sesame Street. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. I agree. But you and I have different upbringings. And that's one of the things, like, if we are preaching to people to have more empathy and understanding, we also need to have that
Yeah.
understanding.
No, I agree.
So when I meet a lot of these people, because they come out of the woodworks Here's an odd thing I never thought was going to happen when I became a hypnotist, and they start talking about hypnosis and mindfulness, even all these. I don't know what kind of Christians they are. They started calling me a witch. I was evil. They think meditation is a sin. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. and I blew my mind, opened my eyes to a whole, and it's a huge portion of this. It's like, I don't remember exactly what brand of Christianity it is, but it's a very large group, and it was eye-opening and shocking. Shocking to me. Like, oh, okay, you're not allowed to meditate or even like prayer is meditation. I don't know. Like, I don't know, what do you call it, whatever you want to call it, but I don't know. It was very strange to me. But my initial shock wanted to go to judgment, and then I stepped in and said, hey, you preaching that we have to have foster understanding and empathy. This person has their own reality. I need to respect that reality, right? I have to respect. I don't have to agree with it, but I need to respect that whatever happened in their life, whatever conditioning led them to have these beliefs, that's real for them. And it is what it is.
It's like it's like the Harry Potter effect, Ariel. And what I mean by that is there was the news story like when the Harry Potter books started coming out in the 90s and the early 2000s, like with the Sorcerer's Stone that translated into the movies, it's like there was the news story back in the day, like these Christians were like so pissed that they're having their kids read Harry Potter because of like, wizardry and all that stuff. I'm like, first of all, it's a story and it's taking kids away from drugs and reading books, but also at the same time, you have to understand that these people think this is ungodly and what have you. So it is what it is. It's the world that we live in, even back in the day. Yeah.
It is, and it's a very large group of the population, which is more important to try to have empathy towards them. Like, you don't need to accept it. Like I said, I don't need to accept it. I just need to understand that, well, I'm sorry, I do need to accept that that's a reality. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to agree that, oh, well, that more people believe it, so maybe I should believe it too. This is a thing also, just because everyone is delusional doesn't mean you have to fall into their same delusion. It doesn't make it right. The quantity of moronic idiots out there doesn't make it correct, right?
No, you actually mentioned a great point. Like you mentioned the sessions wrestling and just people harassing and stuff like that. One thing I do have to mention, it's funny because we actually talked about this on our last podcast where people look at body types and just generalize that way. It's one of those things where I've always looked at it like this. First of all, I've always said that women are beautiful. Internally, externally, the voluptuosity factor will be here all day for the kindness that women bring to this world. I always look at it like this, man. It's like you look at someone who's either jacked or stuff. I equate it to like wrestling. Like you had your Chynas, God rest her soul. You have your Beth Phoenix, and so many women that don't look like your cookie cutter, blonde, blue eyes, body model type. So it's one of those things where I've always looked at it like this. A woman with, first of all, a great body, great muscles, and just overall mind, body, and soul, the fitness and everything that they put in to get within their tone of their body. I think not only is work of art, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, but it doesn't make them mannish just because you want to pretty much label them as managed because they want to look like a dude. It's like, no, everybody in life, they want to feel good. They want to have discipline. They want to have everything that goes into having a great body and just feeling good about themselves. And if somebody wants to feel good and happy and try to do better by themselves and enrich themselves, fuck it, let them do it.
Yeah, I agree. Like these labels we put on things like this is what a woman should like this is what a man should look like. Man, there's this meme that went around and it's this kind of a fitness bikini model type girl. She has washboard abs, but not super jacked, but muscular, right? And then there's a picture of your average American dude with, he's the fat guy, right? With he has tits and a big round belly and fat legs. And it's like, this is the typical average American man. And then it has the picture of the woman with abs. And he's like, you're telling me she looks like a man? Because she's like super jacked and ripped and, doesn't look anything like that. So it's really funny that people get like, this is what a man should look like. This is what a woman should look like. But they don't even live up to their own standards. It's like, oh, okay, well, you don't look like what you think a man should look like either. So like, who cares? Just be happy and be healthy. That's
And I think from my standpoint, as you're putting out a core memory in my head as we're talking about this, I remember as a kid, like just going with my mom and grandmother into like the 7-Eleven that was close to our house, just like get milk or groceries or whatever. Like I would always, deviate towards the magazine rack, and I would always see like the flex magazines and like the bodybuilding magazines and seeing these beautiful women, or just in general, man. It's like the magazines and anything from a certain imagery standpoint really takes one to one's eyes. So I think I can even remember as young as I was there seeing that stuff, and I'm like, all right, man, that's pretty cool. So it's even like the littlest things, like you never know what it's ever going to have an effect on you, you know?
everything influences us, whether we think it or not. Everything you observe, your subconscious mind is taking that in and filing it into whether it's important to you or not, but it does remember everything. And it influences you, you know? So it's really, this is why, in a way, I agree with some of these social media companies banning kids from being on social media, because there is influence out there that, and I'm not talking about, everyone wants to blame porn for everything in the world, but you guys being assholes, human beings, as is what I mean by you guys, humans being assholes to each other is what is toxic for children. There, yes, porn should not be displayed for children, but don't blame that. Don't blame your poor parenting on your child's behavior on porn. Like, take some fucking responsibility. Like, all of us need to take responsibility for society. It takes a village to raise a child, and if we're all just, letting go without lunches at school, yeah, like, because we don't want to pay taxes to cover welfare. That's my
Yeah.
tax. Go fuck off, man.
That is always one of the funniest things that I've always thought is people just already go right to porn. It's like that scene in The 40-Year-Old Virgin with Paul Rudd to Steve Carell's character, big giant box of porn, Andy, like that right there, that manifesto. It just affects everything in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
It's just like, attack porn. Yeah, porn's bad, right? Porn's bad. And then everyone deep inside is like, porn. I love porn. I love porn. It's like, this is what I've noticed in my 20 years in the industry. The people, the loudest squeaky wheel is the one who needs the oil, because they are the one they're projecting. They're the ones who are like anti-porn are the ones who are watching all the porn. And I notice this now. Like, I know calling someone a pedophile is like, everybody's a pedophile.
Yeah, everybody is.
It's fucking crazy. But all these people out there, these politicians were like, we need to protect the children. And then you find out like a year later, they were running some child porn thing or raping babies or something. You're like, yeah. So whenever it's the loud ones, it's whenever. And I can't help. I try not to judge, right? But whenever I see a politician who's adamant about, we need to stop these gays, we need to stop the porn, we need to stop the child porn. And it's like 9 times out of 10, several years later, that person gets caught with their porn, with their child exploitation, and it's just like, man, like, if we just had a radar, if as soon as somebody was like, hey, let's, like, if they're assholes about it, like, if you just bring it up and like, hey, it's important to me to stop this, because it should be important to us all to protect children. But if they're the douchebags about it, they might be hiding something, it's a projection, right? Like, a lot of these politicians like to project. So if they're gung-ho, like just being douchey and understanding, like just so close-minded to it, there's something going on there. And again, like, if they're just bringing it up to bring importance and awareness to it in a certain way, like, hey, listen, I learned about this thing, let's try to fix this, totally fine. It's always the ones who are so close-minded and like one directional, like, no, like, man, you're projecting something here. I could tell. It's odd.
I always use this story, and this is how I tell you. Like my parents are strict, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And shout out to my dad, love you, dad. But I'm gonna tell the story about my dad when I was a kid. So my dad was so smart with how to work computers because he was constantly on the computer. My dad worked two jobs 7 days a week, and he took in a lot over his years. So I remember as a kid to prevent me from seeing all this stuff. Like again, as you're a kid, it's understandable. Like he would always put. We used to have the cyber patrol. So anytime he like to not let me see any of this stuff, he would always have the Cyber Patrol on. So if I had to do homework or anything like that, he would take it off so I could do set assignment or just make sure I was navigating towards the right stuff. And I
Mm.
think even stuff like that, it made me who I am just for the discipline and how like if I ever was going to raise a kid, like how I would want them to go and see stuff. So it's a learning experience for me as from what our parents did to how I would want to raise a child or anything just because you want to nurture, you want to let them grow and be adults and be themselves. But I've always looked at it from a stance like this. If he didn't do that, then I wouldn't turned out who I am and how I view things.
100%.
That's like the stuff right there. And to go off what you mentioned, look at the politics and stuff. Like there was politician, I think it was Michael Knowles, was like, saying exactly the same stuff for you. And then it's like this dude was in like a softcore porn with like a man years ago. And it's like, bro,
Mm,
come on,
yeah.
man. Like, it's stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's like they don't like themselves. So they have to point fingers at this villain because they are the villain, right? So it's uh, you know, it's the world we live in. They need to the whole point is if we all just love ourselves. And that comes down to trying to be kind to each other, the way you treat other people reflects a lot about how you feel about yourself. And if you're being an asshole to other people, you're telling me a little something about how you feel about yourself.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you something, and I'm actually going to say this about you with the utmost sincere respect and compliment. This has always stuck with me since our last podcast. One of the things that you said to me that always I stick to and hold near and dear to my heart was the fact that you feel that I have great taste in women and just my message and stuff. So I got to tell you, even you have a great significance with your words. So I've always wanted to thank you for that. Now this is the time I had to thank you for that. So I truly
Oh, awesome. I'm glad that stuck with you. You do have great taste in women. And I love the story you just mentioned about all the females who raised you. I love hearing that. I do. That is so amazing. Good job.
thank you very much. But no, I even say with you with your job, I look at it like this. Like we mentioned the coaching stuff, and I gotta say, y'all, if y'all have not checked out Ariel X with Evolve Fights or just your overall content on your Ariel X Twitter page, ma'am, I gotta say this, and I say this again, utmost sincerity and respect. Hottie with a body over here doing everything that she does from that standpoint. I gotta tell you, even the adult work, man, you're like a Jill of all trades. Everything you do it precisely and you do it to perfection.
Thank you. I want to add that I'm glad it comes off as perfect, but it's really not like I never wait for perfect to launch something. That's what has gotten me where I am is just taking a risk. Like I'm embarrassed to post this thing, like with my coaching, going from adult into the coaching and being like, are people going to take me serious? Is this going to help anyone? I have those doubts and second guesses. And if I sat there and waited for it to be perfect, I'd never get it started because perfect never happens. You're perpetually chasing perfect. And once something's launched and you think it's perfect, people are going to go, oh, it might be better if you do this and this. And you're like, oh, I guess it wasn't perfect. So, moral of the story is I never waited for things to be perfect. I'm glad it came across as perfect. I'm sure it was perfect for somebody. So thank you for that. And never, I just want to let people know never to wait for perfect. Just keep putting the stuff out there and it'll click. And then you grow, you gain your experience and you're like, okay, coming into my own. And if you go back to some of my first videos that I shot for my content, looked horrible, bad lighting. The mats were just white puzzle mats, not your ideal thing. And then as I saved up money and I got feedback and I was like, what's my brand? What colors do I want? I produced and uploaded as I learned and grew. So just one thing I wanted to put out there and say thank you for believing it was perfect when it went out.
I gotta say, from all of your imagery and from all your videos, what I've always loved about it too is that you take the time into it. And I always said this and what I respect about women like yourself and in general within the said content. I think a lot of people always have that misconception, like it's just like to quote Tommy Lee, you gotta get naked and it's just boom, here it happens. It's like, no, there's lighting, there's everything that goes into it in front of the camera, behind the camera. You want everything to look good because your consumer wants to see just a quality product. You want it to be a quality products. So everything that goes into it, it's effort. You have to put effort into anything you do in all facets of life.
100%. And that the more effort you can put inside of a project, it's you're putting that effort into yourself, right? Like that, it takes tenacity to keep pushing forward and improving and getting feedback and growing from that. A lot of the times people put something out and it doesn't sell as much as they want, and they're like, "Oh, I'm never doing that again," and they give up so easily. And that's the only type of failure there is. It's just giving up. You got to take everything as feedback. Okay, well, how can I make this better? Well, how can I make this even better next time? So it's all just put something out and grow from there too.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've always said this about you, even on the other side of the coin. What I've always loved about Evolve Fights, and again, if y'all are not checking out Evolve Fights, awesomeness right here. I always look at it from a stance like this, even stuff like that, just with the sex fighting and the sensuality. And I mean, with your BJJ background and your MMA and incorporating a lot of the sports artwork and technique into it, I've always enjoyed the concept, number one. But number two, I think at the end of the day, I think it's unique. I think it's also very cool. And I think a lot of people who've not seen it can definitely gravitate towards it. I think the product in itself really does inspire and also showcases a lot of beautiful women, but at the same time, too, spreading a lot of love in your own way that really showcases it internally and externally.
Yeah, I love that you caught that it does showcase a lot of the skills of the females. I One thing that I'm starting to really honor about it, and I didn't intend this when I started shooting it, but I've been getting feedback from fans, is that they love seeing men being submissive to women. There's and I hear this so much from men who have a hard time getting relationships or having being authentic in relationships because they feel shame for being submissive or wanting pegging. I'll just say, some guys are really into pegging and they're like, is that normal? And I'm like, there's nothing normal in the world. So forget normal. Do you like it? Can you find someone who does it for you? Does it feel great? I mean, you know, I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong, but I'm telling you that there's someone out there for you. And if you keep hiding who you are, you're robbing yourself of great relationships and being authentic with someone really awesome. You may have to kiss a few frogs to find your princess, but just you deserve love. It doesn't matter if you're a submissive guy, if you enjoy taking it in the butt. There's so many people who love that, and honor yourself and be authentic, and you're going to find the perfect person. But one of the things that Evolve Fights has become, and which it was unintended, is gotten a lot of gentlemen coming up and having this conversation of, oh, I like, they're submissive men. And some of the guys just look like, I don't know what, I don't know another word for it other than twinks, like, small. I'm sorry if that's an offensive word. I don't know if it is or not, but it's the word. They're, like small, not muscular. Like they look like just young people who haven't developed a lot of muscle. I don't know what other word for it. And some of the guys are masculine, macho bodybuilders, but they all thing in common is they're submissive and they take it in the butt. And so there's this idea that no matter where you come from, what you look like, it's okay to be a submissive guy and be able to take it in the butt. and if you're not, that's okay too. But it's become this thing I'm kind of loving, that it's become a calling card for these guys to be like, it's okay. It's totally okay to do that. It's awesome. So I love that part too.
Oh, I mean, first of all, no offense taken because there's a lot of categories for that. If you've seen adult work or just in general, we've seen that throughout our lifetime. I've always looked at it like this. Like you mentioned from the pegging side of things and people expanding their horizons and really getting into what they like. I mean, the old saying is let your freak flag fly. But at the end of the day, you're also not a freak. You're just a person who enjoys that. And if you
Yeah.
go for it. I mean, I always use the two examples, and again, this is my pop culture nerdiness coming out. I mean, you look at back in the day in the early 90s off the Bedtime Stories album, Madonna had that infamous music video for Human Nature where she's wearing the latex and, of course, express yourself, don't repress yourself. Like, it's one of those things where she showed the dom side, she showed the submissive side. And the other thing I could really put on is True Life back in the day on MTV. It was True Life, I'm a Dominatrix, and they put out in that 1 hour like the whole how Dom's really coming to fruition, how this guy likes Doms and how he likes to be submissive, how he likes that. So even in that short time, you get to really learn about stuff, even through our music videos, through our
Yeah,
it works.
I love that. And I haven't seen that show, but I might have to go look that up because that sounds really interesting. But yeah, no, I love it. I love the letting your freak flag fly. Say, I think it would be so much, the world would be a better place if we could come off authentically and allow that. But there's also the other side who, again, with the dogma of a book telling people that certain things are evil, we're battling this. It's a cultural battle, but it is what it is.
I mean, I've always looked at it like this. You hear this saying, don't yuck anybody's yum, which I think
Mm,
is creative, but it makes so much sense within today's climate. And I can honestly say this, like I mentioned, the spirituality side from my end, and I've always looked at it like this. So I come from a family who's very religious in their own right. And look, I love my family. I'm very spiritual as well. I'm very religious, but also at the end of the day, too, if you look at some of the stuff in the Old Testament, you just shake your head like this because it's like, is it really that bad? Is this really that bad? So I completely understand where you're coming from. And again, love my family to death, but there's some stuff I just shake my head at. But hey, that's what they believe in. So I try to,
yeah, yeah. Don't yuck their yum.
oh, yuck.
That's yeah.
Well,
No, yeah.
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna repeat myself and say, yeah. I mean, if we're gonna tell people they have to accept us, we have to accept them.
Exactly. And I will tell you something that we do accept. We accept your awesomeness and amazingness, dare I say, Miss Ariel X. You not only are an absolute gem to talk to, but you're also not only fun and entertaining, but god dang it, man, you're one of my favorite people. So I definitely want to have you back on for another show. This has been a great conversation today.
Thank you, Michael. I always enjoy talking with you. You're my people, man. You get it. You get it.
Well, the feeling is mutual because you're my people as well. And before I do my plugs and promote the LFC stuff, please let us know where we can follow you on the social media. The floor is yours.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about my coaching. So my coaching website is evolvedlifemastery.com. That is general coaching for people who are, maybe you're letting shame or some sort of limiting belief hinder you from reaching your full potential, and this is happening because you aren't satisfied in life. I help you discover your blind spots, see your blind spots, figure out where this incongruence is, and we give you a plan to move you forward so that you can live a happy, successful life, even more happy, even more successful life. That's evolvedlifemastery.com. And for my adult industry people, I offer coaching for the adult industry. That coaching website is notsafeforworkcoach.com. That's nsfwcoach.com. I have a ton of free spreadsheets for creators for accounting and for your shoot management. I teach a lot about how to stay organized, which kills overwhelm. If you learn simple organizational skills and follow my framework, you are going to be successful in this career. So head on over to nsfwcoach.com for help with that. And if you want my adult stuff, go to arielx.com. That's my OnlyFans. That's where you can find all my content. The wrestling content, as we've mentioned before, is evolvedfights.com.
I will say this, links will be in the description, and I'm actually going to do this abbreviation. I think you'll appreciate this. Ariel X, you like all women are what I'd like to consider the RDSA, real deal sex appeal. Boom.
Love it.
So with
Love
that,
it.
so with that being said, y'all, if y'all want to find this podcast, it's lfcfights.com, VIP section, or go to the S&M Network Show's YouTube channel. Or if you want, you can also check it on the audio platforms, whatever you prefer. It's Spotify, it is Podbean, it is, Jesus Louise, Apple Podcasts, whatever you get your podcast from. The links will be in the description as well. There's so many doggone audios out there, man. But either way, you're going to listen to get into your ears, your eargasms, if you will, like a Blackstreet track back in '96, no diggity, no doubt. And if you want to check out our next event, it is LFC 46 Tunnel of Love. A lot of great women on this card. Actually, one that Ariel recently had the pleasure of interviewing, Miss Lexa Stahl, will be making her LFC debut. How awesome is she? My God, man.
She's great. I'm so proud of her. So happy to have her in the session world because she's beautiful. She's strong. She trains. She's the real deal. She's an amazing human being and super professional, like an amazing CEO.
Well, shout out to Lexa Stahl and all the amazing women. The links will be in the description. And if there's any way you want to spend a Valentine's Day, spend it with the LFC ladies. LFC 46 Tunnel Love FSW Arena on February 14th. And Ariel X, before we close this thing out, do you have any final words to the people and to the LFC universe and just the universe within itself?
Oh, just love yourselves, man. Know yourself. Understand yourself. Whatever's going on, you need to figure out why you're feeling what you're feeling. If you need help with that, we're here. I can help you. And you're not alone. You're never alone.
Right at the heartstrings, man, and beautifully and eloquently said. And as I always say to end this show, it's the name of this podcast, but it's also my mindset. Beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Miss Ariel X, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Ciao.